Light older than mountains is hitting a gold mirror colder than winter stone. That light left home when the universe was a toddler. Inside it sits a galaxy that already looks raised. Not a dust smudge, not a maybe. A finished thing on a clock that said, nothing should be finished yet. If the Big Bang is January 1st on a cosmic calendar, this galaxy is already standing on January 7th, 7 days into everything. And everyone still pretends the year had time to warm up first. We call gravity a patient builder, slow, careful. A force that stacks stars the way cold weather stacks ice, one flake at a time. The models love that story. Patient gravity, patient dark matter, billions of years before anything dense enough to matter. Then James Webb opened its eye and the patient builder started failing the first inspection. Convenient, isn't it? A values list that kept passing until the mirror got sharp enough to fail it. Here is the crime scene. May 2025. NIRCam on the James Webb Space Telescope catches a load of ancient light in the cosmos field. Spectrographs lock the redshift at 14.44. Translate that out of scientist. The light left when the universe was only about 280 million years old. Travel time back to us, roughly 13.5 billion years. The object is now roughly 34 billion light years away, if you count how space itself stretched while the light was flying. Name on the file, MOEM Z14. Out of the Mirage or Miracle survey, because even the survey title sounds like someone is already nervous. Now the size, effective radius around 240 light years. Our Milky Way? Stretch that dial about 400 times wider. MOEM Z14 is the loft apartment. We are the continent. It holds on the order of 100 million suns, less mass than a small neighborhood companion of ours, and still it burns loud enough to punch through cosmic dawn like a flare in fog. And this is where the 8-year-old version gets honest. Imagine the whole age of the universe squeezed into one calendar year. January 1st, bang, no stars yet, no cities of stars, just hot soup cooling. You expect the first dim candles late in the month. You do not expect on January 7th a factory already dumping hard chemistry into the room. But the light says the factory was open. Webb's spectrographs do not just count brightness, they taste air. MOEM Z14 shows a nitrogen to carbon ratio higher than the sun's. That pattern is the signature you see in ancient globular clusters, the old dense star cities glued to our own galaxy. Those clusters need earlier stars to live, die, and pollute the gas used by the next generation. Wrecked suns, second shifts, time. 280 million years is not a lot of shifts. Researchers writing it up called it a cosmic miracle in the paper title, and then did what scientists do when the furniture moves. They measured harder. Most of the light looks stellar, not a glowing black hole engine faking the brightness. Hard photons, low dust. Surroundings partly ionized like someone left a UV lamp on in a dark hallway. Compact shape, strong nitrogen. Exactly the awkward bundle nobody ordered for day 7. And we are supposed to file that under surprisingly efficient star formation, as if efficiency were a person who showed up early with a toolbox. Hold the calendar in your head, do not let go, because MOEM Z14 is not lonely. Swing the clock forward, not all the way home, just to when the universe was about 3.3 billion years old. Still young if you think in cosmic decades. JWST stares at galaxy cluster XLSSC 122 over 10 billion light-years out. Gravity there is strong enough to stretch background galaxies into long blue-gray arcs, a natural lens. To bend light like that, you need a deep, tight mass well. When teams map the invisible scaffolding, the dark matter core after the glowing galaxies are accounted for, the knot looks tighter, more centered, more already organized than the simplest slow-growth cold dark matter story prefers at that age. Again, the scaffold installed before the building permit aged in. 2 scales, 1 smell. The small spiral already chemically loudly mature at 280 million years. The giant cluster already lensing like a veteran at a few billion. Different zoom buttons, same broken patience. For something with no schedule, the universe keeps making the deadline early. Let's unmask the null hypothesis the modest way textbooks like it printed. Standard picture. In kid language, space starts smooth. tiny denser spots attract. Dark matter piles first because it does not feel light's shove. Gas falls into those piles, stars light, galaxies merge like snowballs. Clusters assemble late. Time is the main ingredient. Wait long enough and gravity delivers. MOMS E14 is what happens when the delivery arrives before the oven preheated. Chemically, it is not a blank first draft. Size-wise, it is overcrowded for its birthday. Brightness-wise, it sits above the quiet expectations set before Webb launched. The same shock amplified across a whole noisy population of bright, early galaxies, that theory treated as rare tickets. Extended ones, compact ones, nitrogen-strong spatters, little red points. Each paper adds a polite hedge. Each hedge leaves the calendar staring at you. Random forces with a remarkable sense of timing. Now the precision dilemma, the part where a little faster stops being comfort. If structure can mature this hard this early, either we badly undercounted how violent early gas collapse can be, or the initial conditions were never as bland as a self-smoothed accident wants you to believe, or both. You do not need a sermon to feel the sharp edge. You need one picture, a stopwatch. Every model is a claim about what that stopwatch permits. Webb is not arguing on Twitter. Webb is handing back a photograph with a date stamp the stopwatch did not authorize. Look at human engineering for proportion. Not as insult theater as calibration. We spent decades battling sunshields, cryogenics, 14-hour deployments, multi-million piece tolerance stacks, just to freeze a 6.5-meter gold mirror far from Earth so it could taste weak infrared. Cost measured in billions, schedule measured in postponements. That machine works. It is a triumph. It was built to catch the universe in the act of assembling. It keeps catching the universe already assembled. NASA has been fighting the cold for a generation. A cloud of gas 280 million years after the bang already sorted itself into cluster-like chemistry and city-level compactness. One of those facts is allowed to be called luck every week. Stack them and luck starts auditioning for a different job, an accident that keeps passing the engineering review. So what is actually on the table when people who live inside the equations stop soothing and start rebuilding? Some push star formation recipes harder, top-heavy suns, denser birth clouds, rapid enrichment pathways that run like sprints instead of marathons. Serious work, needed work. It tries to keep the calendar and change the factory shift length. Some revisit how fast dark matter can clump when early conditions run hotter or denser than the calm textbook sketch. Some, quieter, jaw tighter, float the ideas that used to live only on the weird shelf. A bounce instead of a one-time start. So day 7 is not day 7 of all history, only day 7 of this expansion chapter. Or parent-child cosmology pictures where space-times bud inside deep gravity wells and inherit clock settings the way a saved game inherits rules. Black hole cosmology as a phrase sounds like clickbait until you notice why it appears in the embarrassed paragraph. It is one of the few story shapes that treat early maturity as less of an obscenity. Do not confuse appears in the embarrassed paragraph with proven. It is not. The honest rank is alternatives enter the room because the main knife got dull on the data. If we mastered whatever early infinite density shortcut the cosmos used, we would not start with philosophy posters. We would start with collapse control, with fusion timing, with gravity lens design that does not need a cluster the mass of 1,000 galaxies to bend a postcard of light. Labs already chase pieces, inertial fusion ignition shots, atomic clocks, precision cosmology surveys, mapping how fast structure truly grows. Budgets in the billions, timelines in decades. They are not stupid for trying. They are late to a method the sky already finished before Earth had a surface. Billion-dollar machines chase a process the early universe ran while it still had baby teeth, which leaves the humbling gap. Not science failed. Science worked. The mirror worked. The spectrograph worked. What failed is the lazy alibi that deep time plus indifferent shuffling equals industrial chemistry on day 7 of the year. For something with no plan hip, it clocks in early oddly often. Pull the threads, do not add new toys, a gold mirror, a date stamp 280 million years, a galaxy 400 times too small to feel fair, loud enough to ignore etiquette, Nitrogen bright like an old cluster that should have needed generations it did not get. A later cluster, already tying invisible rope tight enough to arc background light. A patient gravity story that keeps needing patches thick enough to hear the scissors. The assembly clock is the system. The system still runs. The lottery story still speaks. The light does not care which story we like. Who set the stopwatch, if no one set it?